A hunting lodge where the viewers hunt ghosts, not animals? Let's talk about the Haunting Lodge. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass, and I'm here to talk to you about The Haunting Lodge, which is coming to digital and on demand on October 17th, 2023. It is a supernatural investigatory documentary that features Kendall and Vera Whelpton, who have been in previous of these types of movies. It's kind of a trend. There was The House in Between 1, The House in Between 2, Sleepless, Unrest, which dealt with like the original Conjuring house, and now we have The Haunting Lodge. Now, this is Kendall and Vera's like own film. This is their own investigation. Usually there is a cadre of people that come in. In this one, there are a few people, but not as many as in the previous ones. So you get to see how they work, you get to see how they investigate. My hot take is, look, I think you should probably pass on it. It is still a fun experience. There are some interesting kind of like supernatural phenomena that you see. But I think kind of as with all the movies in this series, it feels like there is just not enough work done to really investigate, to really kind of tie in the loose ends. This movie is a little bit shorter. It feels like there's a lot of interesting things that happen, but not enough kind of like groundwork laid or, investigation after the fact. And again, kind of to that point, all these films in this series and this one as well are going to they're going to provide some ammo for people that believe. But if you're a skeptic, they're not going to change your mind. It really kind of feels like it doesn't move the needle one way or the other. So I was a little disappointed in this film, but I'm going to tell you a little about the movie. A few things I like, a few things I didn't like. Maybe have a couple quick spoilers at the end. Not a ton, because there's not a lot to spoil in this one. But I'll give you some of the reasons maybe why I didn't love it, and I'll include some spoilers. So in The Haunting Lodge, you have Kendall and Vera going to this remote hunting lodge in Georgia. It's owned by this person named Dan who bought it a while ago, and then I guess started having supernatural phenomena in there. It mostly involves like heavy boot steps on the outside of the lodge, walking around the decks. Occasionally there are ghostly images that apparently appear. There are some other lights and other phenomena, but it has never been investigated. One of the previous investigators, John Doherty, kind of found it and then maybe called in Kendall and Vera to come help. They all arrive at the stage at the start and start their investigation, but as things get weirder, they eventually call in the help of someone we've seen before, Jill Morris, a psychic, to come and also help explain some of the things in this house. Do they find what they're looking for? I don't know. You have to watch it to find out. So, things I liked about this movie. The first, look, I like the image quality. I've seen most of these films, and this one definitely has a bump up in image quality, especially some of the scenery. It is very high definition, very nice. And the night scenes are really nice, especially when they're outside, kind of in the middle of nowhere. You could definitely see that darkness. You see kind of how remote this place is. And it really gives you a good sense of like what is going on and like how this could potentially be a haunted place. And the second thing I love, there's some fun personalities. It feels like everyone in this is a character, not like a portrayal character, but everyone is a very different person. The owner's interesting. Kendall and Vera themselves are fun to see. They're very kind of into the investigation. Jill Morris, when she comes in, she adds a little bit of an X factor. And John Doherty, who's there just a little bit at the start, he was kind of a fun kind of tie-in with the other movies as well. So I did like the personality. It was kind of fun to see them all together. So all that being said, things I didn't love as much about this movie. The first, it is fairly slow, which is not a really good thing for a movie that is only 67 minutes. That's the second thing I didn't love. But the first, it doesn't really feel like a ton happens. And that is not a surprise in some of these paranormal investigations. It's not going to be like the movies where you've got furniture flying around and like apparitions coming out of the woodwork. It is very kind of subtle phenomena, but there is not really a ton happening in between these events. And then there'll be like an event, and then it'll slow down, and it'll be an event. And I wanted them to like dig in. And so it feels like the pace of the film doesn't really pick up very much. And there's also a little bit of a history lesson at the start that takes a pretty significant amount of time and doesn't necessarily relate to what is going on here. So all that doesn't really keep the pace up, despite the like foreboding poster. It makes you think this is going to be an exciting, scary movie. It's not. It doesn't kind of keep your interest very well. The second thing I didn't love as much, it's pretty short. It's only 67 minutes long. So again, like a film that's 67 minutes long and also feels slow, not a good combination. It feels like they could have done more to investigate this place, but for whatever reason, it kind of ends too quickly, ends too abruptly. It doesn't feel like everything is fully fleshed out. The third thing I didn't love, not a great sign either. It feels like there is some filler here. It kind of relates to it being slow. There's, like I said, a whole part on like the Native American background of this area, the like area in general, not specific to the lodge. I would have liked more kind of specific background about the lodge. information on the original owners, maybe some eyewitness accounts, things like that. You don't get a lot of that. You get a little bit, but not as much as I was hoping for. You do get this like long explanation about like the Native Americans, which doesn't really help because it doesn't seem like the haunting is related to the Native Americans. Anyways, so that being said, all those three together didn't really make for a very great experience. And that leads me to like the main complaint I have with a lot of these movies is that I need more explanation, like especially for some of the equipment. You have all this equipment set up and something will happen and everyone will get very excited. Like, oh, it's reading, but you don't know what it is actually reading. Like one of them, I think it was an EP meter. They said it can read like changes in temperature, pressure, motion, sound, like all these things, but you don't get a specific idea of what is actually triggering it. And so it'll just like go off and you don't know why, you don't know what the explanation is. I feel like it would be nice to get some more background on the equipment itself and then maybe bring in some other people to talk about like what it could mean, have different equipment to analyze the area to try to figure out what exactly is setting it off. It feels like there are things that happen and people get excited and then they don't really dig into it. This happens with a few other things. There's a piece of equipment later on that is like, oh, that never goes off. And like, well, what is it going off to? Like, it's just shining lights. Like, who knows what that could be? There was a big impactful scene in the middle with this like night vision camera thing. And a lot of stuff happens. You don't know what is going on. And it feels like, you know, you'll see it on the camera. They don't show like a corresponding video as well to show like what's happening in, I don't know, the real world. They'll just show it on the camera itself. So all that just kind of, they get excited. It kind of leaves me with you know, a skeptical feeling because it feels like if you really want to explain this, you need to delve deeper into like what is going on and why. And that leads me to the next thing I did not love as much. It's kind of related to the, you know, you've got this night vision camera and the night. There's too many loose ends in this movie. There's like it feels like they kind of like superficially touch the surface of this investigation. The investigation itself feels like it's a couple days, like 2 days, and then that's it. They don't spend any more time in there. They don't kind of really dig into some of the accounts and figure out like, you know, track down anyone. It feels like they're just kind of like popping in, popping out, and they're like, oh, we had a really great paranormal experience, and that's it. I'm gonna go into like some of the things I didn't love about that right now because I'm gonna get into some spoilers. So just know that the Haunting Lodge comes to digital and on demand on October 17th, 2023. Look, if you're into this stuff, this will probably give you some new animation, some new kind of proof that there is something out there. If you're skeptical, this is not going to change your mind. But you know what? Check it out. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. Let me know I got right and wrong. I'd love to hear it. I'm going to very quickly go into a few spoilers. So if you don't want to know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off now. So, like I said, some of the loose ends, you know, at the very start, they get to this lodge and the owner takes them to this like random grave. And you're like, okay, interesting. They never do any more about it. It's like there's this grave here, and they're like, hey, spirits, if you're there, we'd love to talk to you. And then they leave. They don't come and get like some sort of radar or sonar to figure out if there's anything under the grave. You don't even know if it's actually a grave. It's rock stacked. It looks like it could be a grave, but you don't ever get any more information. It's just kind of there. Same with some of the phenomena that happens, especially for like the big impactful scene where there's like a night vision camera and there's lights. Then they call it like a photon event, which I assume means like it's lights at night, but you don't get that with images of the actual night at the time. You only get one view. You get the night vision view, and then you do get some scenes of night, but you don't see what is being seen on the camera at the same time. You don't get like a side-by-side picture to show what is actually happening. And that is a lot of the problem I have with a lot of these movies. You'll have like, oh, there's a door opening. There's a ton of cameras. Put a camera on both sides of the door so you can see if the door is opening by itself. They're like, oh, there's like a light activity here, but you don't get like more of an explanation on what that could be. You don't get different views of the camera, things like that, to try to figure out what is causing it to happen. And again, look, I understand it's indie filmmaking. They might not have the budget for all this stuff, but it feels like they have a decent amount of equipment. You could put some more stuff in there. They could definitely get like a camera out in the night to see if there's any lights that pop up, right? Like that is what they're talking about. They're talking about how there's these like photon events and things like that. Maybe they're all like spectral. Maybe they're not visible to the human eye, but it feels like that was needed, like something to kind of showcase what is happening to your eye and what is happening in the equipment would really, really help. And also the film kind of like takes a big U-turn when the psychic comes in. Look, I'm a little bit skeptical with her. She has all these insights into what is happening. You can't tell whether or not she knew before or if she's a psychic. Again, if you think one way, you'll believe that. If you think the other way, you won't. But then she talks about how this is like alien energy, like it's an alien spectral haunting, I think. So it seems like there are like alien ghosts here. I can't tell if it's like alien ghosts or like aliens who are here that can't be seen by the naked eye, but maybe are like projecting their energy. I can't really tell if it's one or the other, but either way, the explanation didn't really gel with a lot of what they were talking about. Like the whole history was interesting, right? If these were like Native American ghosts, but if they're alien ghosts, then why do we have a whole thing about like Native Americans in the area? And why do we have this random grave? Like they really needed to dig in, figure out if there have been sightings here, right? Have there been alien sightings in this area? Have there anything been documented? Is there a reason why there would be alien ghosts? All that stuff really would have helped me to kind of better enjoy and better understand this movie. But look, it is what it is. It's a very quick investigation. I understand they probably didn't have a ton of time to do this. So they kind of went in, got what they wanted, and then moved on. But I'm hoping for the next one, really kind of dig in. Like Sleepless Unrest was interesting because I think it was Sleepless Unrest. They brought in a few other people, like a whole cadre. They did a ton of different things. I think they did ground penetrating radar on that. They had a few other experts, specialists, investigators. It still didn't move the needle for me, but it was at least more interesting. It was fun to see kind of these many different disciplines all trying to figure out what was happening. This one felt like it was just Kendall and Vera, pretty much all of them doing it on their own, which maybe that's exactly what it was. Maybe that's, that was this movie, but I would have liked to get kind of more ammunition to kind of answer the question of, is there something else out there? Anyways, that is The Haunting Lodge. It comes to digital on demand on October 17th, 2023. Check it out if you want to. Look, if you do, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. Let me know what I got right and wrong. I'd love to hear it. And thanks so much for watching. If you liked this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.